Chapter 25. Getting in touch with Paradise. Your brain has been tired by the effort of understanding me, yet I would like to tell you a lot more. Right now, Vladimir, you need a rest. Let us sit down for a while, said Anastasia. So we did. We sat down on the grass. Anastasia attracted me to her, taking me by my shoulders. The back of my head touched her breast, and I experienced a feeling of pleasant warmth. Don't be afraid of me, relax, she said quietly, and lay me down on the grass, helping me to relax and feel comfortable by dipping her fingers into my hair as if combing it, and with the fingertips of another hand she started to give me quick touches to my forehead and temples. Occasionally she pricked me with her nails at different points on my head. All these manipulations gave me a feeling of comfort, peace, and enlightenment. After that, Anastasia put her hands on my shoulders and said, "Now, please, listen attentively and try to distinguish the surrounding sounds." I followed her suggestion, and I could catch a great variety of sounds that differed in tone, rhythm, and duration. I started to count them aloud: the singing of birds in the trees, chirping and clicking of insects in the grass, rustling of leaves, and the flapping of wings. Having counted everything I had heard, I stopped and tried to lend an attentive ear to the natural sounds, and while doing it I was experiencing great joy. It was a pleasure mixed with awakened interest. "You have not named something else," remarked Anastasia. "Why? What else?" "That is all." "Well, maybe I've missed something insignificant, or I just can't distinguish it." "Vladimir, don't you hear my heart beating?" asked Anastasia. To tell the truth, I did not pay attention to that sound. "Oh yes, I do," I announced hurriedly. "Sure, I do. I hear it. I can hear it very well. Its beat is calm and smooth." "All right. Now try to remember the intervals between the sounds you can hear. To do it you should select the main ones and memorize them." So I did. I picked out the rattling of an insect, a crow croaking, the babbling and splashing of water in the brook. Now I shall accelerate my heart beating, and you listen attentively to everything that is going to take place around you. Her heartbeats were becoming more frequent, and the rhythm of the nearby sounds followed the changes. Their tone turned into a higher one. "It is amazing. It's just unbelievable," I exclaimed. "Does it mean that they are so sensitive and can react to the rhythm of your heart beating?" "Exactly. Absolutely all of them. From a tiny blade of grass to a large tree, and even a tiny bug. They can respond to any change in a heart rhythm. The trees accelerate their inner processes, they start to produce more oxygen." "Is it the way all plants and animals react when they are near people?" I asked. "No, it is not. In your world, they do not recognize whom they should react to because people are not trying to contact them. People do not realize the destination of this contact. They do not give them sufficient information about themselves. Such kind of contact can take place between plants and people who are working at their garden strips, but only when they behave the way I have already described to you. First, they must saturate the seeds with information about themselves and start their communication to the plants more deliberately. Do you want me to show you what kind of feeling man could experience if he were enjoying this kind of contact?" "Of course, I do. How will you do it, I wonder?" "Right now, I am going to adjust the rhythm of my heart beating to yours, and you will feel it." She pushed her hand under my shirt. Her warm palm was slightly pressed against my chest. Her heart was slowly adjusting to my heart beating, and soon it started to work in unison with mine. A miracle happened. I experienced an extraordinarily pleasant feeling, as if my beloved relatives and my mother were nearby. A wonderful feeling of softness and healthy well-being spread all over my body. My soul was full of joy, freedom, and a new understanding of the universe. The whole range of surrounding sounds was caressing and telling me the truth. Although I had not realized that feeling completely yet, it was felt intuitively. All kinds of joyous, mellow, and pleasing feelings which I had never experienced before were merging into one wonderful feeling. That kind of feeling they call happiness. As soon as Anastasia started to change the rhythm of her heartbeat, that wonderful feeling began to fade. It was leaving me. I asked her, "Oh, please, Anastasia, not yet, leave it for a while." "Sorry, I can't do it for a long time, I have a rhythm of my own." "Please, keep it a little bit longer," I was begging her. Anastasia gave me the gift of happiness just for a couple of moments more, and then everything vanished. Although a tiny particle of that heavenly pleasure and bright feeling, as a recollection about it, was left inside me. For a while we kept silent, and then a desire to hear Anastasia's voice again came to me, and I asked her, "Did the first people on the earth feel as good as I did?" "Well, I mean, did Adam and Eve feel the same way? Is not it something? Just lie down, enjoy yourselves, and experience a mellow and pleasing feeling. Here you are, everything is at your disposal. Though it would become boring." "Will you tell me, Vladimir, are there many of those who think the same way you do, about the first man, Adam?" Anastasia asked me in return. "Well, I guess a large majority of people do. But really, what had they to do over there in paradise? It was later when man started to develop himself. Trying to think up all kinds of stuff. Labor has developed man. Only through labor has man become smarter. It is true. It is necessary to work, but the first man was immeasurably cleverer than today, and his labor was more significant. It required great intellect, comprehension, and willpower. All right, what did Adam do, staying in paradise? Did he cultivate a garden? Well, it is not a big deal. Nowadays every gardener can do it. The Bible tells nothing else about Adam's activities. If they would have put into the Bible everything in detail, then one would not be able to read it within a whole lifetime. It is necessary to understand the Bible. Behind each line of the Holy Book there is a huge amount of information. Do you want to know what Adam was doing? All right, I will tell you about it. To begin with, just try to recall what the Bible says. It is exactly right there. God had entrusted Adam to find the destination of each creature living on the earth and give names to them. He has done it. He has done something that till now all the scientific establishments in the world taken together have not managed to perceive. Anastasia, and what about you? Do you appeal to God? Do you ask from Him anything for yourself? What else can I ask for? I have already been given a lot. I must be thankful to Him and help Him. Chapter 26. Who will bring up our son? On our way back, when Anastasia was going with me to my motorboat, we stopped for a rest exactly at the place where she left her outer clothing, and I asked her, "Anastasia, how shall we bring our son up?" You, Vladimir, try to realize one thing. You cannot yet bring him up. When his eyes are ready to look at the world intelligently for the first time, you should not be near him. I gripped her by her shoulders and gave her a good shake. What are you talking about? You know, you are taking too many liberties. I do not understand. Where are you getting these distinct conclusions from? The fact of your existence itself is inconceivable. Although it does not give you any right to decide everything your way against all laws of simple logic. Please, Vladimir, calm down. I have no idea of the kind of logic you mean, but try to realize everything quietly. What do I need to realize? This is not only your child, but mine also, and I want him to have a father. I want him to be provided with everything he may need and properly educated. Please, try to understand, he does not need any material welfare the way you understand it. He will get everything primordially. While yet in his infancy. He will get and realize such amounts of information that education, as you understand it, is ridiculous. It would be the same as if they try to send a great mathematician to learn the program of the first grade at a primary school. You would like to bring to the baby some senseless trinket, but it is useless. The baby does not need it. You need it for self-satisfaction. Oh, how nice and thoughtful I am. Everybody, look at me. If you believe that by providing your son with a car or anything else that you believe to be a good thing of life, you are doing a great blessing for him, you are wrong. If he would like, he will get it on his own. Just try to remain calm and think what exactly you can say to your son or teach him. Have you done anything great that he would like to follow? She continued her speech, saying it in an incredibly soft and quiet voice, but the words were plunging me into tremors. Try to understand, when he starts to understand the universe, and you, if you happen to be by his side, it will look just like an undeveloped being. Do you want your son to think his father is a dunderhead? The only thing that can bring you more close to him is the degree of pure thinking. This purity can be reached only by a few people in your world. I realized that it was useless to argue with her and shouted at her, giving myself up to despair. So it means that he will never know about me? I'll tell him about you and your world when he is ready to realize everything intelligently and make his own decisions. I don't know what he will do, it is up to him to decide. Pain, despair, offense, and terrible guesswork, everything got mixed up inside me. An unbearable desire to smash that beautiful, intellectually hermetic face of hers awoke inside me. I realized everything my way, and it made me short of breath because of what I had realized. I started my tirade. Well, everything, I guess, is clear? Now I have realized what you are. Well, you could find nobody around to have a bad fall, Russian vulgarity, for to have dirty sex, to have a baby of yours. In the beginning, you were even putting on airs, but you are a poor plotter. You were trying to pretend to be a nun. You just needed a baby. You even went to Moscow for this purpose. Look at her, she had sold her berries and mushrooms. Why? You would rather become a streetwalker. You only had to take off your shawl and quilted jacket, and somebody would bite your hook. Then you would not need to spin your web involving me into it. Oh yes. Of course. But of course. You needed a man who was dreaming of having a son too, and here you are. You have achieved that goal of yours. I wonder, did you think about a child, a son, whose predestination was to be a hermit? He is supposed to live his life according to your modeling, what is right for you. Isn't it something that you were talking so much about the truth? You talk too much of liberty, and allow too much to yourself, poor hermit woman. Are you thinking of yourself as the highest stage of truth itself? And what about me? Did you think about me? Yes, that is right, I did dream about a son. I was dreaming about leaving to him my business, teaching him to live right. I wanted to love him. And now? What am I going to do now? How shall I live? What kind of life would it be when one knows that his tiny baby son is somewhere in a wild taiga, crawling helplessly and unprotected? Without a future. Without his father. Well, one would have a heartbreak because of it. You can't understand it, you are a forest female. Your heart will become intelligent, and everything will turn to be good. This kind of pain will purify your soul, accelerate your thinking, calling upon. She pronounced quietly. Such a wave of anger was storming inside me that I could not control myself anymore. I gripped a stick, ran away from Anastasia, and started whipping against a small tree with all my might till it was broken. Then I turned towards Anastasia, and when I saw her, although it could sound strange, my anger started to vanish away. A thought crossed my mind. What's the matter with me? I have lost control of myself again, and become stormy. The same way as it was at that time when I was abusing her before. She was standing pressing herself against a tree trunk with one hand raised, and her head was slightly bent forward as if she was withstanding a hurricane wind. My anger was gone completely. I came closer to her and started to examine her. Her hands were pressed against her chest, her body was trembling, she was silent, only her kind as usual, eyes were looking at me tenderly. We were examining each other for a while. I was thinking to myself, no doubt, she is not able to say an untruth. She could keep to herself everything she had said, but she She knows that she is going to suffer, and yet she speaks. She just cannot help it. Of course, it is also a kind of an extremity. One cannot live always telling only the truth, just the things one is thinking about. Well, there is nothing to be done if she is the way she is, and she just cannot be different. Everything had happened the way it was supposed to. Whatever had to happen had just happened. It was just inevitable. I tried to comfort myself by positive thinking. Now she is going to become the mother of my son, surely. No doubt she will, since she has told it. She will indeed be a strange mother, not a regular one, because of her way of life, her thinking. Well, there is nothing I can do about it. I cannot change her. On the other hand, she is physically strong. She is kind, she knows a lot about nature and animals. And she is smart, though her mind is a peculiar one. Nevertheless, she knows a lot about the way to bring up and educate children. Wasn't she trying to speak all the time about children? She will nurse my son. A woman like her will manage to do it. She will go through cold and snowstorms. For sure, it is just child's play to her. She will nurse him and bring him up. It is just necessary for me somehow to adjust myself to the situation. I will visit them in summer, just like coming to a dacha. It is impossible to come in wintertime, as I will not be able to stand it. In summer I would be able to play with my son. When he grows up, I shall tell him about the people who live in large cities. Right now, it is necessary at least to apologize for my behavior. So I said, "Sorry, Anastasia, I got nervous again." And she started to speak right away. "It is not your fault, Vladimir. You should not punish yourself. Do not worry. It is quite natural because you are troubled and anxious about your son. Who would not be? You were getting concerned that he will not be happy here. That your son's mother is just a regular female. She is not able to love with human love. Please, do not worry, do not get upset. You have told me everything just because you did not know, you knew nothing, my beloved, about my love.